branch of the service that you serve? Let me get you a microphone. I'm going over here to get this mic, guys. Tell us your branch of service, tell us your length of service, your responsibilities, and just God and country. Mike Arthur.
Okay. I was in the U.S. Army, but I was in a group called the Army Security Agency. We didn't actually like to be called Army, we were the Army Security Agency. I served from October 68 to April of 1972. I had been drafted right out of high school. I was in the last lottery of the draft, about 104th in it, and I took my test, and the guy said, "Man, you're good. Have we got a deal for you?" He said, "At your size," and at that time I weighed 108 pounds. He said, "You'll end up in Vietnam as a tunnel rat. They'll give you a 45 and you get and crawl down a little hole. You run the enemy out on the other end."
Yeah.
I said, "That doesn't sound like a long-term career." He says, "No, usually about 3 missions is all you make. So, we got a deal for you. If you'll join for 4 years, we'll put you in the Army Security Agency. You're driven towards electronics and such," and I was. "You'll have a career that'll grow and you won't go to Vietnam." Went into training in Massachusetts, was up in Massachusetts for a year and a half, had I think it's number 3 top secret security clearance up to a level 3. 5 is as high as you can go. I could go anywhere on the base that my equipment was. Nobody could stop me. So I felt pretty good about that. The patch over here. We were a proud bunch, but we were in training for a year and a half just to learn one section of what we did. Volunteered 3 times for Vietnam after that. I was telling Karen yesterday, 1 in 100 of my MOS go to Vietnam. We had one unit that worked with alert team up on Green Berets up on the DMZ, and that was it. Didn't need us at that time, and that was 1971. Vietnam was actually closing long before we knew it as the public, but that's the turn of the war. So I went to Japan, spent for a 2-year tour of duty. We were there for about a year and a few months when they closed our mission out. At the end of that mission, and we burned everything we had, it's kind of weird. We monitored, everybody was an enemy. We monitored every kind of code that went across the network, British, American, it didn't matter. All was enemy code. Mainland China, slightly, Taiwan, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, Okinawa. Our main mission on Okinawa, we were Tri-Service Base. Okinawa was the U-2 spy plane that was still flying out of Okinawa at that time. So we ran missions on that. Our equipment monitored their transmissions. It was a great deal. I hated Japan. You got God in the country down here. I'll tell my God story. Coming down to the end of that, I had started writing. If I hadn't gone to the Army, I probably wouldn't have the beautiful wife I have. I started writing Karen, and I had never lived, although I accepted Jesus at a younger age, about 10, I had never really learned to live for him. I knew about him, I knew what he wanted, I knew who he was and what he did for me, but I never really learned to live for him. So I went some ways that I wouldn't want to talk about. But I talked one day, we were down to the end of the mission. I said, "Jesus, if you'll just take me home, I'll change, I'll serve you." I didn't know what I was going to do, but I told him I'd serve him. I had, at that time, I had enough time in service that I could go to stateside duty or a short-term, what they call, Sinop Turkey was the next one. That's where we went in plain clothes. We weren't even allowed to wear a uniform or patches there because we were considered spies in that operation, in embassy duty. There was another one up in Alaska. It's all I could go to. I didn't want hardship tours, and I did not want stateside duty. No soldier wants to be stateside. It's just terrible. God answered that prayer. They came to me and they said, Mike, our specialist Arthur at that time, here's the way we got it. You can either have this or this, or hey, we can let you out. We know you joined up, but we can let you out. A year, something off of the deal. Nobody ever gets out of the Army early. So I took that as an answer to my prayer.
Amen.
And I jumped on it really quick. I'll tell you my uniform story, and I'll make it real quick.
Okay.
This uniform is not my original uniform. Being from Vietnam era, when I came home, veterans that served were not looked upon highly. I swore that day, I took that uniform off, I'd never put it on again. One of my last duties were when I was in Oakland mustering out, is I had to, because I was a Spec 5 at that time, I was an NCO, kind of like a sergeant, I had to oversee the returning veterans. They came back at midnight, folks. Not during the day, they came in at midnight. We served them a steak dinner at midnight. Because of all the things that were going on. We spent half our time standing on sidewalks from bomb scares in Oakland while I was trying to get out. They wouldn't, I said, if people don't want you, why would you want to show it? In 2001, when 9/11 occurred, Jim Matthews came to me and said, Mike, would you speak on Memorial Day? I said, yeah. He said, do you have your uniform? I said, no. I said, but I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll try to put one together. I came as close as I can to the original uniform. It's off a little bit. My son will tell you that. It's got a newer shirt. It's got the wrong kind of tie. It's, you know, this is the way our uniforms look. I told those folks that day sitting in this church that we were embarking on a mission like Vietnam began. 11 years and 1 month now, we've been in Afghanistan. I am proud to say, though, that this country realizes that no matter what our political folks do, the guy that's wearing the uniform is not the bad guy.
Amen.
He is only doing what God has.
Amen.
The Bible is full of examples where God said, go defend your country. Do this at my command. A soldier is no different, no matter where they serve, how they serve. They're only doing what they're commanded to do. If someone doesn't agree with that, that's okay. That's what this country is founded on. But it's not the guy wearing the uniform's fault. That person doesn't like what's going on. Nor should we ever, ever, ever hold them accountable for what somebody's decision is that they ask them to do. As a soldier, you do not refuse to do or follow orders. Right up to the point where you're asked to die, as we well know. So, no, I only weigh 20 pounds more than I did. This uniform is very, very close to the same. In fact, it's a little large. I'm very, very close to the same size that I wore. You can ask Karen. But I am proud that I served, and I am proud of the uniform. And I'm proud of my son that served, and all of those that I know, because they give up so much. And it can be made to sound like it's such a joy to be going and doing it. You see the world, and it's not.
Mm-hmm.
In Japan, we weren't liked any better than we were sometimes at home. There were protests there. I stood in 2 of them. So, that answered God and country. Would I do it again? Yes. I considered it doing 2 or 3 times, joining up into the reserves after that, but I didn't. Thank you.